Let me say it. So basically, if people are coming here to come and tell hundreds of users and hundreds of people out there, they should not be putting boric acid.
Please don't. Please don't. You are going to end up getting burnt.
I feel like this is along the same lines of people telling you to put ginger and garlic.
Yeah! Hey Grey fam, welcome back to the Grayroom Podcast. I am absolutely grateful to all of you out there who are always liking our content, sharing, and you also get to engage with it. You are the reason why we are here, and I love you for that. I cannot wait to share my wealth of experience and knowledge with you on my course that I am putting together. I call it Podcast It. Podcast It is a course I am putting together for everyone who wants to get into podcasting or is already into it and wants to learn a thing or two. But first, we're going to have a free webinar where I would give you a little bit of what you would gain once the course drops. I absolutely love everything about today's episode of the podcast. Not just because we're talking about the female sexual reproductive health, but because we are busting myths and we're giving you the information as it should be. My guests today are two amazing ladies who together co-founded the Women for Change organization. They are also in the medical field, and trust me, there is a wealth of knowledge you need to hear, okay? Do not forget to engage with this content, like, share, and drop a comment. I absolutely want to hear from you. This is the Grayroom Podcast, Season 3, Episode 1. Yes, okay, so we're talking about women health and reproductive health. When we talk about women health, what are we looking at, basically?
Women's health, that's a really wide topic. There's very so much when you talk about women's health. Mm-hmm. It's not just about medicine, it's social health, emotional health, physical health. So there are lots of components when you talk about women's health. But for the most part, when people mention it, they're referring to your physical health. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mainly sexual and reproductive health issues that primarily affect women of all ages.
Okay, so I'm going to jump right into it. Recently, there has been a trend of people saying PCOS. Last I checked, it's just as a woman, every month they have a period and that's it. We move. We have a little bit of cramps, a little bit of blood, and we're good to go. Now we're getting to realize there's stuff like PCOS. There are people that are having things. I saw the other one. They had to. Please, what's going on? Like, what's going on with women and our health? Because I'm saying this as a woman because I'm concerned. Yeah. I need to know about these things.
Yes, that's really important.
Okay, so let's start. What's PCOS?
Okay, so PCOS is basically it's an acronym. It means polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it's one of the very weird things that happens to a woman's ovaries. So basically, imagine how your ovaries look like. Something is inside there, it gets fertilized, and you have a fetus growing inside of you. Well, these ovaries, they already do other things aside from be one half of a fetus. They also influence or produce hormones.
Okay.
So in a woman with PCOS, this the ovaries, the cells in the ovaries or the ova, they become cystic. They contain fluid. Instead of looking the normal way, they become cystic.
What causes them to contain this fluid? They just stay and just have fluid.
There's a number of factors, really. There's not one thing that causes PCOS. Okay. Genetics plays a huge role.
So it doesn't even have to be with something that you've done or something that you're eating?
Not necessarily.
No. Wow.
A huge component of it is genetics.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've noticed that a lot of women in the Akwa Ibom have chin hairs.
Right.
Yes.
Full. And you know,
if you look
down. Yes. Speaking of ladies that have chin hairs, there's this saying that they say that if a lady has chin hair, she's very wicked.
Oh, that's a myth.
I have heard that.
Hormonal imbalance.
Oh my God, I have
heard varying causes. But PCOS tends to be like the most common reason why most women will come down with, It's one of the because the thing about PCOS is that instead of you to produce the normal female hormones, the estrogen, the progesterone, you instead have a higher production of male hormones, the male androgen hormones. Yeah.
So wait, basically, you guys are telling me that in my body like this, I have male hormones and female hormones?
Yes, we all do. What makes us male and female is how much of each hormone you have. So every woman has a certain level of testosterone.
Wow.
Every woman.
That's what makes
you
sexual.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the time, especially around your periods, around the time when you're ovulating, you feel. Am I allowed to say horny on video?
Yeah, no, you can.
So when you feel that way, if you take blood samples at that point, you see that the levels of testosterone, they're a bit higher. So that's why you have that sexual drive at that point in time. Yeah. So women with polycystic ovarian syndrome have higher than normal levels for women of those particular hormones. And so I think it's important to say that not every woman that has chin hairs has PCOS.
Yes.
In fact, when you see women with PCOS, when you see, if you at some point in the woman's life, especially if you're from certain areas, if you're Igbo, if you're from Akwa Ibom, it's kind of normal for you to have small chin hairs.
Yeah.
But when you see women with PCOS, there's a full beard.
Yeah.
In fact, with PCOS, there's a criteria that we use to
diagnose.
Yes, diagnose PCOS. Yeah. So just having male hormones in high levels is one.
Okay.
You need to have about 2 of these symptoms together for us to say, oh, you have PCOS.
PCOS.
Yes.
Okay, so as women, because I'm saying this because I had this conversation with a friend today. So there are times that your period will skip. And there are times you have it twice. Is that also a warning factor for PCOS?
No.
Because I have a friend. I know that if she's watching this series right now, she's going to swear for me. So it took like 3 months, no show, and then of course
it came back again.
It now came back again. So is that like
menstrual irregularity is one of the signs.
Yeah, and then some that will come like twice in a month.
Okay, what we tend to say is if you have less than 9 periods in an entire year.
Yes,
when you have less than 9 periods in an entire year, or you go up to 42 days, you haven't had a period, and then you now have a sudden heavy period. That's what we call oligomenorrhea. And when you have oligomenorrhea together with, features of high testosterone levels, and then maybe when you do a scan, you see polycystic ovaries, then we now say, okay,
that's the diagnostic criteria for PCOS.
Several reasons.
There are several reasons why anyone would have a missed period, aside from the fact that age is the easiest reason.
Really?
Yeah. If you are young and you just started, of course, you don't expect to see your periods
often. It takes about 5 years after you started for them to normalize.
Exactly.
Really?
Yes.
Exactly.
Wow.
3 to 5 years before. So age is easily the reason. So our younger sisters watching this, if you just started your period, don't expect that you've seen it every month. Just know that you won't see it all the time. Then of course, if you're menopausal, or if you're experiencing something like primary ovarian failure, then of course you could have like skipped periods, because that's a totally different
that's something entirely
illness entirely.
Yeah. Okay, so could you give us like telltale signs like this? Okay, maybe I have PCOS. And is it really a bad thing to have PCOS? Because someone like, oh my God, I have PCOS, I might want to have a mental breakdown.
Well, PCOS is treatable.
It's treatable.
That's the thing. It's a very treatable
manageable illness.
But you see, the problem is, when I was doing an obstetrics rotation, one of the things my teacher told me was that most women will not pay attention to the fact that they have symptoms until they want to have children.
Yes,
because that's one thing that PCOS is going to make difficult for you, having kids.
If you are going, for example, many of the symptoms that you would see before you start thinking, most people won't really think of infertility until they are 25 and ready to get married.
Maybe just got married,
you see they are obese, struggling with their weight. They've probably tried so much to lose weight, but they find it very difficult. That's a very common physical symptom that you would see with people with PCOS.
Yeah.
Then acne, that's like really cystic, swelly, red, swollen. You tend to see that with guys more, but
exactly.
Then you start seeing women
with PCOS
all over your chin,
your face. Yeah. You are having like some kind of pimples that I'm not really understanding this pimple. So I'm using,
and it's not going away.
It's not going away. I'm using everything that I have been recommended, and it's not working. Then you probably should look into it. Then even your periods, it's very important. Then if you're probably having symptoms of diabetes, you also have to really look closely. Maybe you eat so much, you're thirsty all the time. You really, really need to look into it, because a lot of women with PCOS tend to have insulin resistance. And this one doesn't even have to do with your weight. You can be slim but be having insulin resistance.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe like to elaborate a bit further, insulin resistance is just when your body doesn't respond to insulin as much as it should. Insulin is what keeps your blood sugar at a normal level, baseline level. So women who tend to have low body fat are insulin resistant. It's something that those fat cells do that make you not respond to insulin the way you should. Exactly. So after you eat a meal, instead of your blood sugar to crash a bit, it just stays persistently high. And so these women have symptoms of diabetes, like feeling thirsty all the time, like she mentioned, or just wanting to eat all the time, gaining weight, sweating a lot. Yeah, so when you begin to have these symptoms, together with everything else that you've heard, you begin to suspect, okay, maybe something is wrong.
Right.
Yes, and then you should come to the hospital.
So it's very important to be very watchful of the changes your body is experiencing.
You really need to be in touch with yourself.
It feels like it's a whole lot to be a woman these days.
It really is. You really have to pay attention all the time.
It's already a lot of work being a human being.
Honestly,
you're a woman.
It seems like it's a lot of work.
It is.
Speaking of a lot of work, now I'm going to get into a pretty testy topic, and I feel like if we get to talk about this thing so much, some people that are constantly affecting their brands and their business come and talk plenty. But anyways, now let's talk about vaginal health.
Okay. Oh, this is one of my favorite things to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about vaginal health. Okay, so there are lots of things. Of course, we thank God for the advent of social media. You know, people are now learning. You don't use soap there. You don't. There are lots of things you don't do. Now, at the same time, this very same social media is now telling people that they should be inserting things inside that is going to take care of their health.
The latest. That's oh my goodness.
No, the latest I have heard is these pills. What are they called?
Uni pills?
No, not uni pills. We'll talk about uni pills. But there's another one that they say is very boric acid.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Wow.
Boric acid.
I haven't even heard that
one. I recently had this incident where someone actually inserted boric acid pills into her vagina, and she got pretty burnt.
It has acid in the name.
Like, I know we tell everybody that it's acidic there, but please don't.
Do you know the number of people that are making content and putting out videos and saying, you should be using this if after your period use boric acid, after this I am not lying, right?
It boils down to a basic misunderstanding of how the female body works.
Please,
yes, like you don't get it.
The vagina is self-cleansing.
Yeah, they're saying that, it kind of, balances your pH and does one or two things.
Under normal circumstances, your body can regulate its own pH.
Yes. Okay.
That's how your vagina works. It can take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
The vagina is not the vulva. When you hear this, Google vulva and vagina, because I find that there's a lot of misunderstanding about what those two things are.
Yeah, they are.
So the vulva is just the outer layer, the one you can see with your eyes. What you see, you look at a mirror, put it down there, and actually look.
Oh wow!
You see the vulva. Now the vagina is inside. You can't physically see it. Okay, unless maybe you dilate and you can look it, but you can't actually physically see your vagina.
Yeah.
So it cleans itself from the inside out. So that's why you actually see that normal discharge you see, not the one that smells kind of weird.
Yeah.
But just a normal.
Of course, we know that when it's away from normal, then there's a problem.
Just your body clearing. That's your body cleaning itself.
So wait.
Yeah.
So there are people that are saying maybe if you've been with a man and you come back, you want to balance your pH, take break after your period. Calm down. See, I'm saying this because the one that was concerning was that after your period, to return to kill the bacteria and return everything. Calm down.
Your period comes dirty. It's not dirty.
Wallahi. I'm for real. Like I'm telling you, if I said don't even go far, just type boric acid and just search it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a fad now. Like from last year up to this very point, I've been hearing a whole lot about it. And the honest truth of the matter is that even after your period, except of course you do not maintain all of the sanitary hygiene conditions that you should maintain during your period, then that's the only time that I can say, okay, yeah, maybe something is going on down there. But after your period, your body expels the blood by itself,
and then it stops.
And you're okay.
So wait.
Let me say it. So basically, if people are coming here, they come and tell hundreds of users and hundreds of people out there, they should not be putting boric acid.
Please don't. Please don't. You are going to end up getting burnt.
I feel like this is along the same lines of people telling you to put ginger and garlic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, wait. You know, I know why they do that. Oh, now it makes perfect sense. Okay, so before we had modern medical practice, so to speak, people used to use a lot of natural remedies to treat yeast infections.
I've heard of a couple of steaming.
So yeast infections are pretty common, not necessarily from having sex, but just normal stressful activities, taking antibiotics for a long time can give you a yeast infection. So before, people would insert ginger or garlic.
Insert?
Yes, like they would insert maybe a mash, and it would actually kill the yeast. But it was dangerous because you're inserting food into your vagina.
I've heard of garlic.
Yes.
I've heard of people say, put a thread and put it in there so you can drag it out.
It used to be useful. But then you learn that for every old thing they used to do, there were consequences, and that's why we transition now to using actual medication. So it's a bad idea. The normal vagina is acidic. So if you're a science student and you remember your pH, you know that, okay, from 6 below is acidic. Yeah. So the vagina is acidic. So maybe that's the idea behind putting boric acid in there. And male semen is alkaline.
You know the funny thing, they always have a perfect explanation. It's alkaline, it's kiniko, your body this thing. So
it's alkaline, but it's not alkaline enough
to actually neutralize the pH.
And then they're like immediately after, like I remember a video. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember a video. The girl was like, "Do a 7-day detox, use boric acid, and after that,
7 days
for real. Like
your liver exists for a reason. Your liver exists to do all the detoxing.
And they're putting boric acid pills for 7 days.
Yeah, for 7 days.
And then after that, that's a horrible idea.
My God. and then after that, when you're done with that one, every time maybe you have sex, you use it. After a period, you use it.
No, don't do that.
Do you understand that we have them Instagram baddies coming out to come and say
that? Instagram baddies have. I'm sure they have second-degree burns. Please don't do that. Because they won't tell you. They're trying to sell. But these things can really hurt you.
You know the funny thing? At some point, I was almost convinced. And then I have this pharmacy. It's like my go-to pharmacy for everything. So I walked in. I'm like, do you guys have boric acid? They're like, no. I'm like, if it's so... Because they were like, oh, just go anywhere you have it. I'm like, if it's so good for the female, why don't you have it? And that's our number.
There's no doctor that's going to prescribe boric acid.
Exactly.
That's not something we do.
It's just like the way you see all those... very fragrant feminine hygiene products. You would never see a pharmacist sell them feminine wash
and all those things.
You don't need a
feminine wash.
You don't take advantage of women a lot and sell really hard because
and just because maybe there isn't so much access to information, or a lot of people just feel like, oh, that can't be right. I mean, why is it smelling?
You can't even trust the things you Google
bank on that,
because
insecurities.
On pages, when you search for something,
funny enough,
you find
information acid, and it said it is
that's the thing. When you Google things, you always find information that benefits you, or that keys into what you're already thinking.
What you're looking for.
Exactly. So I could literally open a website and do search engine optimization and make sure you always find me. I'm the first person you see, and all the good information gets hidden somewhere.
Exactly.
So here's the thing: if you're unsure, always trust the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic will tell you to a large extent.
Yes,
just trust them.
Okay. Or WebMD.
Trust those people. If you don't want to talk to an actual doctor.
Yes, always. The internet is full of resources for you.
Yes.
I feel like we have crashed the whole.
I mean, these babes will sell you anything.
And that's the thing. I don't even think some of them.
Remember when they were selling that Kaya Mata thing?
What is that? There is Kaya Mata. There is now the one of Uni Pearls. I'm not trying to bring down anyone's brand, but I felt really insecure. I'm like, okay, what is this thing made of? You cannot tell me. So I should be you yourself. You don't know. And then now say you
Just
don't
I think we've established a couple of things. Your vagina doesn't need to be detoxed. It is not a dirty object.
It's not dirty. It is not dirty. Whatever smell comes out from there is expected as normal. Except of course smelling different.
Relax. At what point do you need to insert anything into your vagina?
Is it medication that was prescribed?
Okay.
Yes, because you have pessaries.
Yes,
for yeast infections, vaginosis, and hair. So you actually have prescription tablets that you insert into your vagina, and they're medication that actually treats an ongoing problem. And there's something wrong with you.
That's even the good part of it.
They even come with applicators.
They come with applicators. There's a method. You are encouraged to wash your hands, because in as much as your vagina is self-cleansing, you can't introduce things that are not clean into it. So as much as possible, you are taught how to go ahead with the application. But aside from these medications, honestly, there isn't anything else you should be introducing. As a matter of fact, you would still hear a lot of medical professionals discourage the use of tampons. Like, they'll be like, okay, fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But tampons aren't bad.
They're not
just
bad.
Don't know how to use them.
But if you don't know how to use them,
So I understand there is. I remember seeing this post on social media. The girl was like, she went through something shock because she left the tampon.
Toxic shock.
Yeah, because she left the tampon in for a really long time.
They're so comfy that you could forget.
Danger.
They're so comfy you could forget.
I don't know. Don't forget, but still,
please don't forget your tampons.
If you aren't that careful person, yes, I mean, don't use it.
Yeah,
just stick to pads or menstrual cups. Yeah,
really, you don't have.
Speaking of menstrual cups, how safe is it to use a menstrual cup?
Oh, pretty safe. As soon as I can figure out where they sell them, I'm gonna buy one.
Really?
Yeah, and
a ton of money.
Because vaginas are different. This manufacturers put that into consideration. I think that's something like I've gotten to appreciate about menstrual cups. They come in different sizes. They come.
Yes.
Is
it not going to have are you not going to feel like there's something?
It's silicone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
right?
I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah. You won't feel it. Inside you like you're in plastic or something.
That was in my mind. Like,
you know, they have sizes. They have cups that fit the shape of your vagina.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you buying the right one that can absolutely seal.
This is great because it saves the stress of buying pad every month and having having to dispose pads.
Pads are so expensive.
Bad for the environment.
You can imagine what happens. We did a survey recently. We went to this community, so we did a survey recently and found out that an entire village, almost all the women use cloth.
Yeah,
and not even clean cloth with proper hygiene. They're reusing pads, and because of the stigma that a lot of people still attach to periods, they can't even wash them and dry them outside.
Exactly.
So pads are so expensive. So if you have a menstrual cup, it takes away so much of that stress. All you have to do is boil it and maybe add a sterilizing pill that usually comes with it all the time. But still.
Yeah, but if you boil it, you're basically good to go.
Most of the time, boiling is more than enough to take care of it for you. The disadvantage now is if you're in an area where you don't have access to water. Yes. You don't have access to water, public toilets that don't have proper flushing systems. Because you have to bring it out and then
Okay.
You can imagine being outside and you can't change and all.
Okay, so we're still looking at sexual rights. So we have established the fact that do not put if it's not prescribed and if it's not a menstrual cup, don't put it inside your vagina, please. Okay, so speaking of steaming, another way you talked about it a little bit, steaming. So we've seen people that are like, I have also experienced it. I could not sit down on that thing. It's too hot that way. I know some people say,
why are we steaming?
No. It's more like you do. Why do I feel like I'm the one telling you? It's more like you do ginger and garlic.
We don't do a lot of these things.
And then you sit, and then you cover so the steam.
The only time we encourage steaming is when
for pregnant women who are recovering from pregnancy. Really? So some people list it as a means of treating yeast infection.
That is so true.
As a matter of fact, you end up burning yourself.
You're not even supposed to pour very hot water around your vulva or vagina. That was something I forgot to say.
It dries it up.
See, I feel so hurt, and I feel like I have heard so much of wrong information in my life.
There's a lot of horrible misinformation out there.
Really,
we don't tell women to sit on hot baths.
Yeah, some will say something like the steam will come up with the
you
garlic
know
and
how
the
much
ginger.
steam
You
is?
don't need to. I tried it one time. I did not. I say, whoa, it's not me.
It's so
not me.
much.
I think physics says steam is worse than hot
steam
water.
burns are worse than actually hot water pouring on you because of the surface area.
You can imagine, and you know how delicate the perineum, that's the vaginal area, is. It's so delicate
and soft, and you're not supposed to do all of that. Please, you're not cooking.
Please don't cook it.
I mean, women who have just recovered from birth, and women who may have had like sutures because of its hair. Sometimes women who have herpes and have a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And it's warm bath. You don't call them sits bath. They like put Epsom salts and all.
Salts and all of that.
You don't sit down hot. It's very warm. It's like a warm steam.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be soothing. No hot water.
They teach them actually how to go.
I'm telling you,
it's so dangerous when you put yourself in that situation. You don't know. You could have second to third degree burns from that, and that is a very sensitive area. That means
you could heal and
you could
scar,
and then you could be admitted because of that burn.
So
because
I feel so uncomfortable. Why are you doing that?
I'm worried because now, see, I am worried because I've actually steamed before, and that thing was hot. I could not sit down, and I remember I was doing a couple of, and they were like, "No, it's good for you." I said, "Oh my, this thing is hot. Is it just me or like this thing is hot?" They're like, I said, "No, I don't go fit that bag, And we have people that will come out and tell you need to do it because it kills bacteria, unhealthy bacteria, and all of that.
And I think there's something we also need to address.
Okay.
When people say it will kill the bacteria, there are healthy bacteria in your vagina. The one that I think a lot of people are aware of is the lactobacillus that you find that it's also something you find in yogurt.
Yes.
That's why we encourage a lot of
drink a lot of yogurt.
So ladies, drink a lot of yogurt.
Yes.
Buy yogurt for a girlfriend. Don't be buying yogurt.
I'm not talking about sugary yogurt.
No, so the
unsweetened yogurt is where you actually have a lot more of those active spores.
But this does not mean you should buy the one that will slap you. I don't know. Those ones, I don't know where they get those. I really
like the Hollandia, the plain
okay,
Hollandia.
Yes. There are really good brands of unsweetened yogurt.
Oh, there's this one they make in Akwa Ibom. This lady on Facebook.
Denims.
Yeah. Amazing.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to Denims. You've been doing a lot for the People.
But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I
hope people learned a thing or two.
I trust me, myself, I have learned a lot. Because this is why I really wanted to do this podcast, because I realized a lot of misinformation out there. The media will not come and tell you don't use boric acid. Nope. Most of the things that fall through the cracks. That's what we discuss here on the Grayroom Podcast, and I really appreciate you guys for coming.
Thank you.
All right, people, do not forget to drop a comment if you have something that you heard and you're like, what? Or you are saying, no, it's a lie. Those girls lied. Oh, yeah. Drop a comment. Do not forget. Do not forget to like, drop a comment, and of course, share as widely as possible. Thank you so much for joining us. This is season 3, episode 1 of the Grayroom Podcast. I'll see you in our next video. Bye.
Bye.